Hello, everyone. This is Mike. Welcome back to the C26 Squadcasts, where we interview our active athletes and take a look at triathlon from the everyday perspective, see what they're going through, the challenges they face, how they got into it, what kind of things they've learned and gained from the sport. Today we have longtime athlete Matt Dickinson from Brainerd, Minnesota. And Matt's always positive. He's always got a great spin on everything, including life. So kick back and enjoy our first Squadcast in a while with Matt Dickinson.
Hey, what's the current mortgage rates right now at your bank?
At my bank?
Yeah, your bank.
Well, it just depends on who's asking.
Why?
Well, so probably that 4.5 range.
4.5. All right. Yeah, I got another deal I can work with. So
That's not bad, though. I'll take it.
4.5. But I don't do mortgages anymore, so that's the benefit for me. So now I just strictly commercial stuff.
You're the head honcho.
No, I'm not the head honcho.
So you're up there.
Yeah, I'm second in command.
Oh, and when you started with C26 Crushing Iron, where were you?
I was just a peon.
Yep. part-time bank teller to bank real estate mogul. All right. Well, you Dickinson.
Welcome, Matt Dickinson.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is another Squadcast. We're getting back into the Squadcast, and I think this is like number 5 or 6 or 4 or 8. I can't remember, but we'll let you know.
Fairly certain this is Squadcast number 3.
Oh, okay.
I believe we had 2 others, and I believe you are the first male Squadcast, so you can take that for whatever it's worth. But no, we did Squadcast, and we started them last year. Really just to highlight the athletes that are part of our team and who we work with, and kind of just a really good opportunity and a good chance to shine kind of a spotlight on the everyday average triathlete that is actually out there, and not, because most podcasts, we talk about all the different ranges and on ours, but a lot of them are interviews with professionals, and they're just hard to relate to because we don't do this full time. We have jobs, and some of us are married, some of us have kids, and it's just a whole different life or lifestyle for us. So it was a little overwhelming, I think, last year, but I think we, in terms of trying to do now 3 podcasts a week or a couple extra a month, but we've had a lot of requests for it, and I think it's important, and so we're gonna make a newfound commitment. April 1st is our January 1st, and so we are committed to doing this, and it is our resolution. So exciting and good to talk to you, and it's good to have you on since you're one of our longest tenured athletes as well. You're like an OG.
I'm an OG. Well, I appreciate it. You guys do a really good job, so it's nice to have you guys out there doing what you do. Breaks up the week when a new podcast comes out. Pop in the headphones and listen to the pre-found glory.
So before we get rolling, give us your name, age, weight, horoscope, favorite food, and then most importantly, where are you from, so people can start deciphering this insane accent that you have. You can leave out the weight part.
Oh, well, that's all right. I'm an open book. Matt Dickinson, Brainerd, Minnesota, and it is cold today. Brainerd, Minnesota. Hey. I'm a Capricorn. I like long walks on the beach, candlelight dinners. 36, and right now I'm at current weight of 207.8.
Dang, you went all in. You're 36?
36.
You're a man.
I always thought you were in your 20s.
It's my great looks.
I was going to say maturity, but we can go with great looks.
Yeah, I am not mature. We all know that.
Yeah.
Shenanigans. That's my middle name.
So you're in Brainerd, and we've kind of decided that you're a banker of sorts, power banker.
Yeah.
Power broker.
Power banker.
And you have a family up there with you?
Yeah. My wife is also a C26 member, and then I have 2 girls, Gracelyn and Gemma, 14 and 9, both play soccer. Gracelyn starts lacrosse today, which is great. Good for her to be out and about in this cold.
Out and about.
Out and about.
You guys play soccer in the snow?
Indoor.
Oh,
Indoor
okay.
soccer, which I play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I put that in my training peaks. That's usually my easy run.
Oh. You play or you're a ref?
I play.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays. He uses that as his one of his runs of the week.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, he likes to call it that. We do. We call it a wash. I did want to say, I want to touch on this before we finish, not necessarily now, but so remind me at the end of the podcast to fall back on. Was it Gemma? I think you texted me one day about your about a coaching thing with one of her games, maybe, or was it another one of your daughters?
Probably.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, awesome. Well, then it's up to me to remember this whole entire conversation. I'll remember it later. Tell us about where you are right now. What was last year like, and then what are you looking at this year in terms of just training and racing?
Yeah.
And the current thoughts that you have.
Last year I had some big goals. I did that extreme half out in North Dakota, and I got injured in March. Something started happening in my right hip, so it was kind of a depressing season for me. Just couldn't run. I'd get 20 minutes into a run and my back would seize up. I started off with an Olympic try and came off the bike, and I was doing really well. Had about a 2 to 3 minute lead, and then about 2 miles in, I was on the ground, and I just watched people go by and waved. And then after that, I started some physical therapy and started just to really focus on hiking and mountain biking and getting strength, just really trying to focus on strength more so than anything. Did a bunch of 60, 70 mile mountain bike rides on the gravel and four-wheeler trails, dirt bike trails, just really, really focusing on power. Then Wilderman came, and that was an amazing race. I recommend it to anybody. It was 102 degrees, and it took about 14 and a half hours. And then after that, it was just focusing on Amanda, when Amanda did Ironman, just really focusing on that. And then after she did it, I said, yep, I got to do it again. When I saw her come down the finish line, it's just Madison has the aura that just says, you need to do this. You need to come back and do it again. And, after talking with Robbie, we thought it was a good idea. And
Whoa.
Whoa.
We thought it was, what's always been the first thing I've said when you've asked me about a race? What's the first thing that I say?
What does Amanda say?
What does Amanda say? Have you had this conversation with Amanda yet? That is almost always my very first. And honestly, that's it. Even with obviously I coach you and your wife, and then I think I work with about 8 or 9 other couples. But that's generally my first question, especially when it's the guy asking. Hey, I've got this really great idea. I'm in. I want to do Ironman. Louisville. I'm like, all right, that's great. What does your wife say about this? Because if you don't get the green light with the wife, you are definitely headed down a very obstacle-ridden, treacherous Ironman journey that could end very poorly for all parties. And so, to your credit, you had gone to her, but I do have to say, I think you got her when she was weak. Which you're a sales guy, so you know what you're doing. But I think hopefully you're not listening to this, Amanda, because it's going to screw you for future endeavors. But I think you got her when she was down and weak post Ironman. She was like, I could care less. I don't ever want to race ever again. You haven't had it. And you're like, sweet. Can I sign up for Ironman Wisconsin for the next 4 years today and lock this rate in for the next 5 years?
It's all about building the relationship and communication. So, yeah, we booked it. We got the same hotel room for the night for the last 3 years. So same room, same venue. So we're a block and a half from the finish line. So after the run, it'll be the walk and shuffle and carry me to the hotel room. So it was, it's good. So right now, training it was a little rocky to start, but I've been on a pretty good roll as of recent, and it's just finding the why behind why I want to do Ironman, and it's just to do the best that I can on that day, not to be fast, and that's the way I used to be. Is just I got to go out and run as hard as I can and go as long as I can. And this person's going to beat me. I got to beat that person. And now it's racing against myself and the goals that I want and that I want to accomplish. And that seems just to be doing it for me right now.
Do you feel like run camp had anything to do with that?
Oh, run camp was amazing.
Because you've been on a tear pretty much ever since then.
Yeah, I really do. It was just nice to run. And I mean, nobody talked about pace. Nobody talked about how fast they were going. It was just purely miles and elevation. And it was just fun. Everybody had the same goal, and that was just to have a retreat and just be around good people and do what we love to do, and that's, run and swim for me. So taking my digger into the pond.
Oh, that's right.
Yep, I remember this.
Yeah, and that's in the video, I think. So, no, but you're right. I think that's really cool that when we talk about losing our why, I think a lot of times that can be accentuated from running too fast and having all these fast goals and far goals and stuff like that. And when we went to run camp, it was more about, getting some elevation and just running at our own paces. And it did seem like that was a common thread that resonated between everybody, and it kind of changed perspective. It did for me too. And so I'm glad that came out of that for you. And there's a lot more enjoyment with enjoying training. I mean, it's just a silly way to say it, but it does keep
It really does, and for the past 3 years, Thursdays for work, I've been playing in a men's golf league, and this year I just decided that I have more goals than playing golf, so I nixed golf this year, and I'll just be really focusing on the goals that I want. I want to accomplish, and you have to have a clear focus and a path, and have everybody that's in your corner on that same path to support you. And with the two of you and my family, my path couldn't be more clear. And that's what's really nice, is just the communication of everything and knowing what needs to be done. And it's a balance with 2 kids and competitive soccer that we travel, and it'll be, I might get a run in, I might not. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because it's, we do this as a hobby. I'm not trying to make a living off of it. So I don't stress out about anything anymore. The first one to get mad loses. And I don't have any stress.
Now, I would say that that's definitely true now. Tell our audience a little bit how you used to be.
Oh gosh.
When we first started, it's funny because you and I are like really good friends now, and you guys stay at our house when you come to camp, and like we're super close. But I think I told you this when you guys stayed with us last time. I remember exactly where I was when you and I had our first phone call, like our first athlete intro phone call. I'm standing in the kitchen in Kansas City. I may even text Mike about this, but I'm texting him. Al, get off the phone. And I'm still my full-time job, and Hayden's young, and I'm not doing this full-time. And I look over at Allie on the phone, and I go, "Man, I don't know if this is going to work out." And I mean, just totally, brutally honest. I was like, I don't know. But to hear, like, to have conversations with you now versus like having and I'm sure it's the same way with me, having conversations, back like way in the day, is I mean, we are totally 100%, like you're totally a 100% different person than it was before.
Well, I think, and this isn't to smooch anybody's behind, but having a good coach that gets you level-minded and visualizes what the big picture is, and who cares if somebody beats you, because we're all going to have a day. And I think you've said it a bunch. We've all been chicked on somebody on a road bike. So Ben chicked and she's on a road bike. That happens, and it's just going to happen to anybody. On any given day, you could have an off day. And before I hooked up with Robbie, my first Ironman in 2015, I had a really good friend of mine that was a Marine, coached me through it, and it was, you got to get it in. You can't miss it. You got to go harder. I want you at this pace for 10 miles. And it just got to the point where I hated training. And then in that same year, I said, if I do it again, I'm gonna hire somebody that's completely different than that. And I did. And it was a lot of what's the big picture here. I don't want you to go off a pace. I want you to go off a time, and that's really just changed the whole gamut for me. I ran this last Saturday with a bunch of ultra runners, and they were running 20 miles, and I said I'm going to run 50 minutes, and they're like, why 50 minutes? And I said, because I don't want to run off of miles. I'll run too hard, and then I'll be shot for the whole week. And the last Saturday I did that. I ran off of miles, and I was shot for that Saturday. It was just above what I should have done, and maybe I just had a bad day. But running off of time, it seems to work. I know what I need to do. I know that I can't, if I go any harder or any slower, I still got to run that same time.
Yeah, I do have to give you a lot of credit. You have changed tremendously in terms of your approach and and saying things differently and approaching things differently. And I think it's obviously helped you, but I think it's made you enjoy the process and enjoy triathlon a little bit more than you were before.
100%. And I'm getting stronger too. My bike is stronger. I don't really focus on, testing as much as I wanted to before, because I needed a higher FTP. It needs to be higher. I need to see the gains. Right now I'm probably 20 watts higher than I was at the end of Ironman in 2017. And I'm not putting in as much work, but I'm putting in quality work. When I'm on the trainer, I make sure that I do the workout, and I do what's needed. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little less, but it's just with what time allows, and it's a balance. It's a really good balance. And I just, again, I'll say it, I don't stress if I miss a workout, if I miss a session, because it's either I was busy at work or I was busy with family, and I don't want to just thrash myself and get home and not see my kids and then go work out and then they're in bed. I might miss something that was very important.
Mm. So it sounds like you've gotten to level 2 or 3 of this triathlon journey. I mean, but take us back, man, to the point where maybe you decided that you wanted to get into triathlon, and why? And then because you've gone through a lot more than just figuring out that triathlon can be enjoyable.
Yeah, I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and then had a half scholarship to play baseball at Penn State, and didn't even play baseball in college. Kind of went down the wrong path the first week of college, and well, that's enough said there. Just I don't remember
the first week. I mean,
first week.
Sounds like my first week was horrid, and my piece was horrible too.
I can't remember mine.
I don't remember my first week either. So after that, it was the nice thing is I've always told my wife that she really saved the path that I was going down, because it was either me or college, or not college, but the life I was living. And I said, well, it's you. So ended up moving back home and finishing college in Brainerd rather than St. Cloud. And in 2011, I was golfing, and I was like, okay, I'm getting my exercise. And it was I was having a beer and Snickers at the same time. Well, I just nixed my exercise by riding on a cart and walking to the ball. I was getting winded walking up my flight of stairs at my house, and I looked at my kid and I said, I got to do something different. So I went to this class at the Y that was kind of a boot camp, tri-fit class. There was 22 people there, and I've always been an addictive personality. So I went to this class, and I was hooked ever since. I think the day after I went to that class, I signed up for 4 triathlons and never have done one. Didn't even own a bike. So I said, four sprints, 1 each month during the summer. And then I went to that class, and I was just hooked. And I think I was probably 270 when I started. And then, I had some goals after that first year. Second year, the first one I did, and when I crossed the finish line, I think I sobbed like a baby because I hurt so bad. And it was just, it took me probably an hour and 10 minutes. Hurt so bad, couldn't walk the next day. And then I just kindly fine-tuned some things. We had just started a tri club in the area. I think there was like 6 of us. And then next thing you know, now today we're at over 500 on that page that we all get together and do things. Well, the next year after that, it was just a slow progression, losing weight and wanting to do bigger and better things. And it was all speed. And I mean, I'm a sprinter at heart. Never considered myself an endurance athlete. And just each year, I think I've grown and gotten smarter on how to do things rather than just going out and redlining every single day. Just doesn't work. You get injured or you just hate training.
How did you in this, like, and where you were, like where you started and why you started triathlon and going through kind of putting the club together, when did you run into or stumble upon this thing called the Crushing Iron podcast?
Oh gosh, what was it?
And then also, how in the heck did you stick around past the first few episodes?
So 3 years ago, I think it was, like, I think you guys must have been into maybe 2 or 3 podcasts in, and I was on my way to my daughter's cross-country ski meet, which was like 2.5 hours away, and I was tired of music. So when I was getting coffee, I looked for triathlon podcasts, and here's Crushing Iron. And I just started listening, and I was like, oh, these guys are kind of jokers. And, they're just like kind of a whim, a hodgepodge. They're just chatting away. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of low key. This is nice. And until I was able to put a face with the name, I thought you guys were reversed as far as voice. And then I finally when I was able to meet you guys. So
I look smart.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it was just the knowledge of it, and it just wasn't, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's, theory too. Robbie has his theory, Mike has his theory, and what works for him and what works for me isn't going to work for everybody else. You have to, beg, borrow, and steal and see what works for you to continue to go. And it was just compelling and intriguing. So it always kept me leaning in, like, what's the next joke? What's the next punchline? What's the next podcast going to be about? And it's still that way. I mean, I listen to them pretty religiously.
Well, thanks.
It's like having coffee every day. You got to listen to the podcast.
The coffee companion.
Exactly. So, and it's good. It keeps people in tune, and there's people that I've turned the podcast onto just for different segments. I'll go back, and if they have questions on something, I'm like, well, listen to this episode of the podcast. Rather than me explaining it to them, it gets another listener to the podcast too.
That's sweet, man. Hey, so when you first started this triathlon, because I know you and you're fun and you're funny, and you must have like a funny story of something that you really screwed up or like really kind of was sort of laughable in the beginning.
The second year racing, I went back to my very first race, and I was still a little bit bigger guy, 207 pounds. Well, I came off. It was a pool swim. Came out of the swim. I couldn't get my tri-top on, and it was stuck at my belly. And people were taking pictures, so I had basically a mankini the whole race. So my stomach's sitting there hanging out, and I still couldn't get it on. It was all raveled and underneath. And people made a pretty good laugh about that. And then,
do you have those pictures?
Oh yeah. And probably the most memorable is Ironman 2015, the Pink Speedo Brigade. There was 6 of us at Mount Horeb. We got some pretty good press because of that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So nothing too much. I try to keep it on the, always PG.
What do your having had your wife go through an Ironman, what was something that you learned being on the flip side, being the you guys finally trading places and you guys you being on the sidelines per se this time while she was doing it? Did it give you just a different and a better perspective of when you're training on things to be respectful or overly responsible about, or communicate differently on, or a different kind of appreciation? Like, what was that experience having finished a race and then an Ironman, and then the next year getting to watch your wife finish the exact same one? Tell me a little bit about that experience.
The respect level goes, just 1,000,000% higher. the things that you go through supporting somebody doing Ironman is so exhausting. You have to be able to help out and pull your weight a little bit more when things get a little, heavier volume. If it's taking care of the kids or running errands, doing groceries, folding laundry, it's picking up a little bit more slack so you can help out with the daily chores, because it's a big feat to say I'm going to do an Ironman. It takes a lot of time, and you have to be willing to be pliable, and things can change on a whim. I mean, you could wake up and it could be, rain pouring, but in an hour it's going to change, and that could change your whole day. And it's, Amanda had the respect level of, hey, it's raining right now, but in an hour, it's going to do this. So I might need you to run Graceland and Gemma here and here. And it's like, perfect. And she would just say, you might need to change your training around. I said, that's fine. I said, it's all about you. So it's having that mindset of being selfless and making sure that it's all about them when it comes to that Ironman year. And it's, you have challenges. Sometimes it's not always going to work. And Amanda was really understanding with that. But she did her thing when she did. And when she needed to be around for the family, she made that decision too. And she had her ups and downs, and being there to help support and talk through things when you get the blues, was good. It was just an open line of communication. And then race day was just, you're on nerves the whole time, and like, where are things going? And then where's she at? The mats are off, and you have dysfunctional timing mats, so you think like something's wrong because nothing's updating, and you're just stressed as can be. You're pacing, and then you see her and it's completely different. Like, yes, she's doing it, she's going. It's just, and it's exhausting. I was shot at the end. I thought I did it, and I didn't even step 1 foot.
Welcome to life as a coach.
Yeah.
That's what it is all the time, not knowing you put so much faith in a tracker and then it's not there, and you're just like an emotional hot mess.
So I actually have Amanda to thank for you being the ultimate best Sherpa I've ever had in my life.
Oh, yeah. That was, we just made the decision to buzz down and watch all you guys at Louisville. That was awesome. That was such a fun time.
Yeah, you guys were. Quick question, I think you answered it. What's more exhausting? Watching someone you love compete in an Ironman or doing one yourself?
Watching, for sure. Watching.
Easily. It is without question the hardest. It's infinitely harder. What everybody says, it's infinitely harder.
Yeah. Oh, way harder. So to be at different points and to make sure that you're there, and I would rather have been moving. I mean, there was times where like I have to move, so I think I ran up observatory, down observatory to get to her on the backside so I could watch her and cheer her on. And it was just for a second. And by the time I got there, I'm like, I'm dead. I'm shot. I sweat through my shirt, and I'm sitting there with khakis and a red shirt on, and I'm just soaked. Oh, yeah, infinitely, just 1,000 times harder to spectate.
I think Mike, we may even talk about this on our podcast today as a topic, but I think it's the perfect example of how much emotional and mental stress takes on your body. Because I know just from spectating and watching my athletes compete, like I'm shelled for days. Because you have all of this like emotional investment and mental investment in these people and their accomplishments and what they're going to do, and you're happy, and you're got suspense, and it wears on you. And so I think it's just a really good lesson for the everyday athlete that stress is stress. And watching someone compete in a race is stressful. And so it's really hard on the body. So when you go out and you have these regular weeks in training and you have this like really high increased life stress with work or at home or, in relationships or whatever, that it's going to take a negative toll on your body. And so you can't expect it to work like it would, like a well-oiled machine if everything was, rainbows and unicorns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, man, I get the sense that, not only do you work at Triathlon and you figure things out and you find your sweet spot with all that, but I get the feeling that you really try and work at being happy in general.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just wondered if you had anything to share on that as far as Like, how do you approach life?
There's always something worse than your worst day. That somebody's going through something worse than you're ever going to imagine. And if I can't control the things that happen, me stressing out about it isn't really going to solve anything. Getting upset, it's not going to solve anything. It's wasted emotion. As far as my standpoint, that's how I approach it. I used to be very anxiety ridden. I'd go to bed Sunday night just fearing the worst at work the next day. Just terrible. And now I go to bed every night. I sleep like a baby, and I just wake up and just be glad that I'm there every day. And there's somebody somewhere is going through something way worse than I'll see today. So, and it's just, there's so many different things to be thankful for. I have no stress. And even when people get upset, they're like, how do you not just get upset about that? And I always tell them, the first one to get mad loses.
That's awesome, dude. So what has the C26 community meant to you? And then what's going on next with you this year? You've already kind of mentioned it, but.
Yeah, it's C26 it's an amazing group of people that you can consider family. It's like the triathlon community. When you go to a race, there's nobody ever there dogging you. I mean, you'll always have the 1 and 2 that just don't see the big picture, but that's up to us to show them the big picture. It's just all families. Run camp was the perfect picture. Everybody was there for the right reasons. Everybody wanted to have fun, just to get better at what we're doing. And you won't find a bad soul in the group at all, except for maybe Chuck Knuth. I mean,
I feel like that everyone kind of knows that I wouldn't let that bother me.
Right. Yeah. He's still probably upset that we put his bed outside at run camp.
I can't imagine.
Still cold.
Come on, man. What happens at run camp stays at run camp, man.
Yeah, exactly. This year, I'm doing my first trail run, 25K next weekend. 13. So in 2 weeks, I'm doing that with a couple of friends, just kind of let's see what happens. Got maybe a half marathon. I'll do a half Ironman, and then Ironman Wisconsin this year. So I'm the healthiest I've been, the strongest I've been, and it's just listening to my body. When I need to take it easy, I'll take it easy, even if the day calls for something different. And I know the nice thing I know about Robbie is he's not going to dog me for it. He's going to say, good job listening to your body, and tomorrow's another day. But it's at least do something. So it's different mindset rather than I got to get it in. It's all up to me to make sure I do it, but nobody else can listen to my body but me. So it's a process, and I've learned over the past couple of years that it's okay to miss a workout, and it's okay to give a little bit more, but not too much, because you don't want to get injured.
Yeah, it's such a great point. And that's the most not underestimated, but that's one of the aspects of coaching that people don't understand, is that when you hire a coach, or you look for a coach, or when you look at our relationship, which is just like so many other coach-athlete relationships I've had, is that it's not my job isn't to make you listen to me better as the only answer. My job is actually to get to where you will listen to yourself better, and reading yourself and seeing your tendencies and doing things off feel and listening to your body, because our body is an amazing, amazing machine, and you're the one in charge of it. And you're the one that will always know and feel, the best. It's not being able to, have someone else tell you how you feel. You just need to be in touch with that and work through it. And that's one of the I think the misconceptions about and when athletes look to getting coaches. It's like, I want you to tell me exactly. I'm like, I can't. We need to work on doing this together. And and to your credit, even though you didn't start out that way when we began this journey, it's we're going on 3 years, so it's we've come a long way.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing is too is people need to understand that Robbie's not going to always be the perfect coach for them. There's going to be times where athletes leave, but I've talked to other people, other coaches, and I don't like their style, and that's where Amanda and I were talking the other day. It's, this is something that we will always be a part of until Robbie stops coaching, when he decides to retire. And then it's at that point we'll have enough knowledge that we won't need Robbie anymore. But that'll be a long time coming, and it'll be something that, it for me, having my workouts planned for me and not having to take the time and stress out about it and get the feedback that I get from it, it's so worth every day to have Robbie as a coach. And I don't think I'd change that.
Yeah, I'm not adjusting your TP for this week, so good try.
You can come visit us in the Poconos when we retire.
There you go. Absolutely.
Well, buddy, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you and being able to call you a friend. I really appreciate every time we're together and look forward to it more this year.
Before I forget, Robbie, you said something about Gemma. I had to remind you.
Well, I can't remember the story anyway. It was more. I think it was somewhere along the lines of as we kind of had this conversation, you've talked about how you've kind of transformed your thinking about racing and competing and expectations. But
yes,
you shared something with me after watching one of your daughters.
Graceland.
Yes,
Graceland was doing cross country ski, and it was a hometown event. And when she got done, she was so beat up and she was so upset because some of the girls that never beat her, and she finished middle of the pack, and she's usually top tier. And I said, why? You were focusing on all the wrong things of just trying to beat somebody. You were just trying to beat that person. Well, you're going to have days where they don't work for you. It just doesn't. So you have to go out every day and give it the best that you have and race your own race. And the next 4 or 5 races, she won one race. She finished, I think, top 3 in the next 3 races, just because she went out and raced her own race and didn't care if somebody beat her. Didn't care if she got passed by somebody that, has never passed her before, because we're all going to have those days where it all clicks. It all clicks for you, and you can just lay the hammer down and go, and you just don't get tired because you're doing everything right that day. So I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
And I'll tell you right now, that would have been completely different than me. Than in the past. It'd have been like, those people beat you. What are you going to do about it next time? Well, I'm going to work harder. And that's the wrong mindset, especially with kids. Just go out, have fun, race your race, and do the best that you can, because somebody's always going to have a better day. But the day that she won, nobody could have outdone her. It's just, that's the way that it worked that day.
I love it.
Yep, great way to end it.
Yes, it is, buddy. Well, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but here we are, and I'd say keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to keep doing what you're doing too, because I like the philosophy.
Yeah, tell Amanda again. Thanks for congratulations again on finding a new job.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. She's a different woman already.
I bet she is.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, I know she is. So.
Yep. Yeah. So good.
All right,
dude.
Appreciate the both of you.